So here she is at last, phase 1 of Project Mighty Mouse completed. We've added Joe Kowinski's 60-inch long travel to this mighty yet tiny side-by-side, and let me tell you guys, it has really transformed the way this guy can perform. And I'm not just saying that so I can make a nifty rhyme. So real quick, let's go over some numbers here. With Joe's 60-inch long travel kit, plus the RB3 off-road spacers I put on the front and the rear, we got 1 inch on the front, 2 inch on the rear, we are sitting right around 63.5-ish inches. Ground clearance is up. We are at a whopping 15 inches of ground clearance now on this little guy. And that's even with plenty of preload left on my shocks in order to give me a little more height if I so desire. And I know the two questions you're most likely to ask are, how did it transform the ride quality of the Pioneer 500? And how did these big old 32-inch ITP Blackwater Evolution tires affect the power of the machine? Well, first off, as far as the ride transformation, this guy rides like a Cadillac. There's no other way to describe it. Plus, with the beadlock rims, I can air down my tires to 1-2 pounds, being 8-ply if I want to, for when I'm in the gnarly rocks, and it will just float over everything. It simply is amazing, especially when you're used to the stock shocks of the Pioneer 500 and you go and do something like this. You guys aren't going to believe the ride out of this guy. It simply is amazing. Now, power-wise, yes, obviously, I'm going with a bigger, heavier tire. I do notice it a little bit. However, it's kind of a double-edged sword, I guess you could say. When I'm riding by myself, the 32-inch tires really aren't that noticeable. I feel a little bit up steep hills, but the Pioneer 500 is geared so low that it isn't a problem, at least for me. It's actually made low gear, which for 17 and up Pioneers is just first, a lot more usable. I never used low gear in this guy before. Now with these bigger tires, low gear is actually a usable gear. If I just want to crawl through the woods or over rocks at 5 miles an hour or less, low gear is absolutely perfect now. Before I could do that in second gear, but it was a little bit too high for that. Low gear was a little bit too low and it was just always on, off, and you got that surging. But now it is spot on. Another bonus too, the reverse in this is geared so low that with the stock tires, even the 27-inch tires I had on there, to go in reverse with speed, the motor was absolutely screaming and you were just barely crawling along. Again, the bigger tires, changing that ratio up due to the size of the tires, I can actually go somewhat fast in reverse now and the motor's not screaming in my ear, bursting my eardrums. Now, am I going to need to do an internal gear reduction with tires this big and with this kit? Yes, no. And here's what I say. When I'm riding by myself, again, it is absolutely perfect. However, I just spent a couple days with passengers, and when you have that extra 100, 150 pound, 200 pounds in here, then you do notice it, especially going up steep hills. There was a lot of hills where in second gear I was able to go up previously. Now I have to go in low and go a lot slower up. Now this thing is still pretty much an unstoppable beast and will still crawl up. It crawled up over everything I've thrown at it so far. It's just now I do have to hit low gear and I do have to crawl up a lot slower. Now that may cause an issue with some of you guys that are going up really steep, long inclines, because you need to be able to hold that speed and carry that speed to get up. But so far, I'm not running into any issues with that. Now over the next couple uploads, I'm going to be giving you guys a lot of test footage. I hit all the mud holes I've hit previously. I've hit a couple new ones now that I'm up higher. You guys are going to see how this performs in the mud. And we're also going to see how this performs in the rocks. I find a couple really rocky areas to go over to kind of display the articulation I now have in the 500 and how these ITPs work. So those videos will be coming up very soon, as well as a full install video of this kit. Now I know you guys are probably wondering what all is involved with this kit, especially if you're a do-it-yourselfer like me and want to tackle this kit on your own. Well, that video will be coming along very shortly to show you guys how easy this kit. It simply is a bolt-on kit. But don't worry, I'm not going to leave you hanging on this video and show it and then not show you any riding footage. So here are a few clips to showcase a little bit of what this long travel kit can do as far as articulation. So as you guys watch these clips, make sure you pay attention to the roofline, because you can really see how the limited travel of the stock suspension causes the body to bounce back and forth from side to side. Even with the Walker Evans shocks, which do a fantastic job of absorbing the bumps better than the stock shocks, you still get a lot of back and forth of the machine, you know, that really still throws you around. Because again, you only have about that 5.5 inches of travel. And then here, when you compare it to the long travel, look at the roof line, how it stays a lot more level. The side-to-side movement, even though it's still there, it's very little, and it is not near as jarring as with the stock A-arms. And here over the where did that come from obstacle, you can really see the stock suspension bouncing the Pioneer 500 back and forth, you know, from side to side. Even at slow speed, it really jars you around. And then again, coming with the long travel kit, you get a lot more articulation, a lot more up and down from the A-arms, which translates into a lot more cushier ride and a lot less side-to-side movement. The most dramatic example is going to be here when I hit the where did that come from at higher speeds. Look at the 500 just bounce around. In fact, did you see that? No? Well, let's slow it down. Pay attention to that rear driver's side wheel. Right there. Yep, that's right. It is off the ground. We bounced clear off the ground. Because there simply isn't enough travel in the stock suspension to keep your wheels planted during a situation like this. But with Joe's kits, that is not an issue. All four wheels stay firmly planted to the ground. In fact, the Pioneer 500 tackled this obstacle so well, I hit it the fastest I have hit it yet, and it did not skip a beat, and it did very, very well. I hardly felt the jarring. So guys, overall, I could not be more happy with this long travel kit. Joe makes an awesome kit. It's a game changer for the Pioneer 500. Let's be honest. It is an absolute game changer for the Pioneer 500. And I know there's a lot of you out there saying, well, why go to all this length when you could just buy a machine that already has more articulation and better shock suspension from the get-go? Well, first off, it probably isn't going to be a Honda. And plus, if you're on a tight budget and you're like me and you don't want to have to spend years and years paying stuff off on a more expensive machine, then buying a budget-friendly side-by-side like the Pioneer 500 and then saving up for accessories later on and then adding stuff to it, and that's all part of the sport anyway. There's guys out there like me that we love working on stuff. We like to take something plain Jane and make it our own. I mean, that's probably 3/4 of the sport right there. It's not just to buy a machine, go out and ride. It's to buy a machine, customize it, make it your own. And for what Joe charges for this kit, it is very, very budget friendly and very, very reasonably priced. And you'll see in the install video that this comes with everything you need to simply bolt it on in a day's time and hit the trail again. So again, we got lots of good videos coming up. We're gonna hit the mud, we're gonna hit the rocks, we got a full install video. And guys, let me just say, this is still only the beginning of Project Mighty Mouse. Again, I called this phase 1 for a reason. I've got lots more ideas floating around in my head as far as what direction I want to take this. So keep an eye out for some polls as well, because I may ask your guys for your input on what you want to see done next. Comment below what your guys' ideas would be as far as which direction to take Project Mighty Mouse over the next few years. And I say next few years because this guy is going to be around a long, long time, because after all, it is a Honda. So thanks for liking, subscribing. Don't forget you can help support my contact by getting your Appalachian Mountain Riders merchandise on my Teespring store. Your support on Patreon is always, always highly appreciated, and you get special bonus footage and content when you're a Patreon. And also a lot of the stuff I get from my machines as far as maintenance items, oils, oil filters, stuff like that I get off of Amazon is available all in one convenient place for you guys on my Amazon influencers page. And there's links in my description below for all of those. So make sure you hit that like button before you leave. Let me know what you think of Project Mighty Mouse thus far. And until next time, have fun, be safe, and keep on riding.